Hey guys, Peter Shankman, how are you all? I am thrilled to welcome you to another episode of 20 Minutes in Lockdown. It is hot in here. I have a very loud air conditioning in my living room that goes into my kitchen, so I've shut it off, so it is already, temperature is already creeping up. My cat is looking at me like, what the hell? Why would you do that? And so I'm sitting here, but it's worth it to sweat because I'm sitting here with Elise Nicpon from Room and Board, who is going to talk to us today about what we can do since working at home seems to be a thing. And now that companies, the crazy part is companies are finally opening up and they're allowing people back in and people aren't going back. They're like, well, I landed this for 3 months and it worked. Let's keep it going. So I think that we're going to see a massive shift towards working at home. That means we're going to have to make some changes. You know, we're not going to be able to sit at our kitchen tables surrounded by, unopened bottles of Powerade and coffee mugs. You know, we're going to have to keep it good and keep it clean. We're going to have to get a chair that doesn't destroy our backs. I couldn't figure out my back was hurting. For like a month, I'm like, what the hell? I'm sitting in this kitchen chair, not designed. You're supposed to sit in the kitchen chair for 45 minutes, have dinner. You're not supposed to sit in the kitchen chair for 8 hours a day. So welcome, Elise. Please save the millions of people who are working at home from mutually assured destruction. Teach us how to turn our space into something awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much for having me. I just can't say enough. It is a huge topic and it is a huge puzzle for all of us to figure out because to your point, we maybe initially were coming home instead of in the workplace and we thought we weren't sure how long it would last. And now that we really have some either mandates from workplace or to your point, finding that the more productivity at home and staying at home, now we're in this new mindset of like, okay, how do we truly evolve into working in this space? And I think, there's really 5 different things that we can think about and talk about. But the first one is exactly what you mentioned, and it is sitting. In talking with an architectural firm who before COVID, they had a way to monitor how much screen time their team was having for whatever reason, based on whatever projects. That same technology, of course, was still viable when they went home to work, and they can have seen that we're sitting in front of screens about 70% more. So when I heard that, and that was
really,
I felt like I understood that from their team, but I was like, yeah, I am 100% sitting. I am 70% more sitting.
That is a crazy number.
I know
That's a crazy number. 70% more in front of our screens than when we were in an office just 3 months ago.
That's right.
That's
because
insane. No meetings.
You're in an office. Yeah, you get up, you have a question, you get up, you go ask. You need a drink, you get up and go do this, and you collaborate in different ways. You have meetings, all of those sorts of things. So now when you start to edit us all to home, all of our meetings are through virtual meetings, etc. It's incredibly high numbers. So ideally, if you can sit and stand, it's great, but you are definitely sitting more than we ever have. So having an office chair that really is ergonomically correct for you, which there is no one correct way. It's all about how, if you move a lot in your chair needs to be able to move with you. You want when your feet are on the ground, you want your seat to be about 90 degrees or your legs to be 90 degrees. A lot of ergonomically correct chairs, the seat pan will move back and forth, and you don't want the seat to be touching behind your legs. So you want to make sure that you've got like a fist worth behind your knee to the chair. So all of those sorts of things,
I totally just changed how I was sitting, right?
You just start trying it. And it's and then the other thing is your arm placement. As much as you're mousing now, you don't want to be too low or too high. So to find that chair that can really get you the balance for your body type. Some of us have longer torsos, some have longer legs. So there isn't any one perfect fit, but it's the right fit for you and thinking about what those things are.
And a lot of us are, finding that we're working from places that weren't really designed for work. I mean, like I said, I'm in my kitchen because the office that I pay for, I haven't been able to go to for 3 months and counting it. They've still been able to bill me. But so talk about how do we make the home office a little more officey without taking away from the fact that it's still our home. We don't want to get it so officey that we forget that, yes, this is also a place to relax and have a life, But on the flip side, again, bottles of Powerade and rotten bananas.
Yeah, I think it depends. You're probably going to be in one of two camps. You're either going to be in your home, or your home is going to not exactly have a separate spot that you can be, right? So if you, like for me, this was my guest bedroom. The bed is now over here. So with the guest bedroom, I was able to move some things around and make it more conducive to work and an office environment and a video environment. So if you have a space that you can do that, then there's lots you can do with, just as I did, moving things around in the space. And then you are going to need different solutions within to make it more functional for as an office space. So thinking about what is that desk, what's the right scale that's going to fit in the space. You like a 48-24 size desk is enough edited enough that you can probably get like 2 screens on it, but it's going to be kind of tight. So if you can go to 60, great. If you can't, you can't. Then you think about, when you're in this office space, what is the flooring? And if the flooring is a hard surface, it's really important to find a rug. I know that sounds funny, but if you don't, it's very echoey, and you're always on conference calls and video calls now. So thinking about how to bring down that echo in the room, whether it's with, a rug or something if there wasn't one before. Also, when you're thinking about that space, it's really important to have a good task light, because now you're very focused, and where you're going to be or how you need to be lit when you're on a conference or whatever it might be. So that lighting is important. And then figuring out where and how you're going to have storage. So if you have a separate space that you're evolving to be your workspace, something like a bookcase can be a really helpful vertical storage, as opposed to, a big file cabinet you might have had at your office that you can't fit in this new space. So some of those sort of areas to solve are going to be really important when you're working from home. When you're working in a space that it isn't a different space, it needs to be, within your kitchen or a new part of your living room. I know I was helping a design project with a woman in San Francisco, and that was it. Her living, dining, office was all one room. And so It was configuring how all of that can work together. And I think then it's finding what is that desk solution that, where do you want it to be? Where are you going to be the most inspired? She wanted to be by the window. It didn't used to be by the window, but now she's there all the time. So we had to move the 3 spaces around. So what will bring you the most joy as you're working and looking at whatever during the day? And then how can you flow those furnishings to be consistent and quiet with the things that you already have? So, if you are picking a new desk and you have more, stainless accents or something in your house, maybe you're looking at a stainless steel base table, or if there's more wood or whatever it might be, like how can you flow it into the space with materials that make it seem less separate? Like, oh, now I'm in an office, now I'm in a house. But you do need it edited enough that you feel like you are, you have
a home and you have it right.
Right. Yeah.
So let's flow from that, because Gabby, who's our co-host actually here, jumped in and said, any tips for keeping your home office desk organized? And I think it's a brilliant question, because I've just given up.
Yeah, I know. I think you kind of have to think about when you were at work, what sorts of things did you have? You probably had drawers or, different solutions that you might not have at home now. And when I think of my office, at our corporate office, I probably have a lot more stuff in those drawers than I really need. But it was like, oh, goes in there. So I think it's thinking about when you're working from home and at your desk, how much of this stuff on your desk do you really need? And really just have access to the pen, the highlighter, the scissors, the whatever, and then have a simple way to contain it. Again, you just want to keep things visually clean and calming, because another part of this whole movement of working from home and just the environment of the world today is there's a lot of really stressful things going on, and some might be experiencing more stress from it than others. There's a ton of change happening in our lives. So when it's keeping our desks organized, it's how can we keep that just visually really clean because it does give you a calmer feeling. It's like if you walk into a beautiful spa or resort or something, or you just walk into a space that you just really feel like that, oh wow,
Right.
this is, like the furnishings matter, and how you organize your things on your desk and in your home office really matter to make you feel good, not only in the way that you would hope when you're at work, but in this new environment where there's a lot of things that might be stressing us out.
I think there's also something to be said for being able to, get that sort of, when you walk into that hotel. It's a great example. You walk into that hotel or that boutique hotel, or you get off the boat at your island destination, right? And you're like, look at me, and you come, and everything just sort of shifts into that mindset. So yeah, cleaner desk. But that brings up another question. We are a lot of us. Of course, my dad just joined and said, if I clean my desk, the rest of the room will look like a garbage dump. Thanks, Dad. But that brings up an interesting question. The premise that we have a lot of listeners, we're in small apartments, right? The one thing that, especially in New York City and major cities, that our apartments were not designed for is pretty much anything more than sleeping, right? So a couple of tips on what people could do to sort of maximize their space efficiency when they really don't have a lot of it.
Yes, I think it's looking for those very simple line desks, and there is a good scale for that. So, anywhere, sometimes customers will even, like, behind a sofa, you can tuck a surface desk, a console table almost, you can use it as a console table, or maybe you were, but now it needs to be a bit of a desk, so understanding if there is a way to incorporate it into the space that way. But the other part is to be thinking about that vertical solution. So as you're thinking about, you need to store some things, how do you keep things organized, to the question about the desk? Well, maybe now the desk can't fit it. So you need to use that vertical solution of either a bookshelf or shelves attached to the wall that can have files on them or whatever it might be. So I think it's kind of thinking of those spaces in a new way. Because you need it to, it's not like you can, another thing you could do would be like have an office armoire, so that it's a cabinet that opens so that your work surface is here, but then you can close it, and then maybe you use it as serving for your dining room or something in a really small space. So I think it's, thinking of some of those different things, because, that is the scenario where it's not like you can create a new room. It has to be incorporated into what you already have. So the other thing is you're trying to, keep all of these things in balance, especially in a small space, as much as you can just keep things, anytime you can square something up. So if there is a window and you're now going to have a little desk, like if you can keep it square it up, and then have things feel a little more balanced around the room. Like all of that just helps your flow and how you feel about placement of things. So you might have to move a chair. You might have to, move your sofa back in a new way. Some of those things might change in order to incorporate a bit of an office.
Talk about lighting, because a lot of people don't realize exactly how strongly a role lighting plays, not only in obviously looking good in meetings and things like that, but I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm facing a large northern window, high up in the sky. So I even on a cloudy day like this, I have natural light coming in. But talk about there are a lot of people, they might live in a studio on the first floor, they might live under trees, they might, where they don't have light, they might face an alley. Talk about lighting, and talk about the role that lighting plays, both in looking good in meetings, but also in your mental health.
Yes, totally. And that's my space too. My the way that my office at home faces, it's, the more I'm in here, the darker it gets. And so what you want to be thinking about is a triangle of light. So thinking about where are the 3 points in the room, especially if your office is incorporated into your living space, you'll want to have that triangle of light can really help just balance the light in the room. So maybe it's a floor lamp by the sofa. You're all working in the same space here. A floor lamp by the sofa, a table lamp on the table, and then maybe a little task lamp by a chair, or that kind of triangle of light. And then always having some kind of task light on your desk, that if it can't articulate around, then at least just getting light on your desk. But if it can, so that you can manipulate the light, that's even better, because there are just different things that again, it's another layer of strain. So whether it's strain on your body from sitting or strain from the screen, if your light is also low, it's another strain for you that you want to eliminate. And you think about when you're at the office, it's not super dark in your office. Typically, there's a certain level of maybe consistent overhead lighting that you might not have at home. So then creating that triangle can help unless you already have overhead lighting. And then certainly having that lighting solution on your desk is really important, not only for function, but for how you feel.
What are your thoughts or advice? What is your advice to people who might be doing this on a budget? One of the things that employers all around the country, companies all around the world, we're being so nice and we're going to let you work from home. Well, thanks for letting me work from home so I don't die. But then the one of the things they never did is, and we're going to give you a budget to get a desk, to get a chair, to get it. So they never did that. So a lot of people are working from home, but finding themselves on a ridiculously small budget because they're not making any more money. Right. But they still have to furnish a quote unquote office. So, any tips or thoughts on what they can do to sort of do this on a budget?
Yeah, I think when you're thinking, and we're all on budgets, that's for sure. So I would say if you're thinking about where any of that purchasing is going to land, I would definitely do as much as you can with your chair. And so, if you're trying to, instead of trying to spread it out over everything, because, a lot of surfaces can be a desk, a lot of bins can be storage, maybe under your desk or next to a sofa or something. Like, you can solve some of those things. But the thing that really, if there is any place that you are going to put some dollars towards, I would definitely focus on the chair. But then just being able to, there's a lot of, if you look around, what are just a lot of surfaces that you could repurpose in your home, whether is it a console table, or could you look at a console table that's maybe like 54 inches by 18 inches, depending on how many electronics you're trying to house on your desk. But it could be just thinking, what is it, just a more edited version, not a full-blown desk with drawers and all of those pieces and parts, but just a simple surface. Even looking towards when you're looking at options like that, glass is a much less expensive material when you're looking at a top of a desk. So if you're getting a base and then have a glass top, that's always going to be the least expensive and most durable, a very durable surface. I know folks will worry about it gets messy, it gets dusty, but when you're trying to figure out all these things, and especially in a small space, having that glass solution is a really great option. It just is visually less, takes up less visual space.
Yeah.
So there's those sorts of things, and then thinking about what are some things that exist in your home that could be that extra seat by you, or it's funny, I have seen a lot of, and maybe you have too, where a lot of people have repurposed ironing boards as extra surfaces to put their files, not as a desk, but just like as an extra surface. So, as we're in these, if we are in a budget posture and we're trying to find a use now, put away, that's an interesting little solution, but so it is thinking about what are the things in our home that we can repurpose in a new way. Or definitely just calling in or just typing in the Craigslist, eBay, different ways.
Never underestimate Craigslist or eBay or even FreeCycle, any of those sites. There are a lot of people buying. Maybe some of us are lucky enough to have a boss who bought us a new chair, and there's the old one. Whatever it is. So no, there's definitely stuff.
Yeah, and I would say as you're looking at those too, it might be that you find a solution that you can put a glass top on, that maybe isn't a desk at this moment, but so that's just another kind of that repurpose upcycling.
I love Daniela's comment. Shower curtain room divider. Here I come. Hey, there are worse things. There are worse things. If
you use the shower curtain, try and use one that can absorb sound too.
Yes. When I do these, most of the time, for some reason over the past few weeks, even though I split my daughter's time with myself and her mom, I find that a lot of these I've done with her here. And So we have what's called room time, which is, okay, Daddy's gonna do an interview for the next 20 minutes. It's room time. How many things can you find in your room that begin with the letter P or whatever? Just don't come out. But yeah, I mean, the trials of a New York City apartment. Last question, because I want to be respectful of your time. What is the absolute number one piece of furniture in any capacity that anyone working from home needs to have? Are we going back to the chair? Chris Brogan says the butt matters a lot, so he believes it's the chair. So what do you think it is?
Yeah, again, I would say it's chair, because if you're not sitting right, just like you've been feeling from sitting, it can affect your back. It can affect how your legs are feeling. It can affect the pitch at which you're sitting. So now your arm isn't right. When you're overusing that or overcompensating, then your shoulder gets messed up. So I would say anything you can do to get an office chair, an ergonomically correct office chair, it does allow you to have some other leeway at the kitchen table, or some of these other things that maybe we can't solve for space reasons or whatever. But if you can have an office chair, it will help with all of those things. And in small spaces, it's easy. There's a lot of really beautiful office chairs, very simple, good looking, and you wheel it into your living room, and now it's an extra seat there too. Yep. So you can reuse a really good office chair in a lot of different ways.
Awesome. Guys, you've been listening to Elise Nicpon from Room and Board. Thank you so much for the brilliant advice. We really, truly appreciate it. I'm thrilled that you were able to come on and talk to us for a bit. Guys, if you like what you heard, we have 20minutesinlockdown.com, 20minutesinlockdown.com. And if you scroll down, if you're looking at this on Facebook, scroll down. If you are entrepreneuring at home, I'm hosting a conference on the 25th, and I would love to see you there. It's virtual, because what the hell isn't today nowadays, right? Elise, thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Guys, thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon in the world you happen to be. Stay safe, stay healthy, and still stay home. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you so much.